All right, guys. We're gonna call this an unboxing, but it's sort of already been unboxed. Hopefully, all the parts are in here. So I'm not very happy, I'll tell you that. First of all, it came a day late. Shipping address: Amazon.com services. Even though this has been crushed, it doesn't seem there's you can see scratches and things where it's been cut through the bag, getting banged around in here, but it doesn't look like anything's actually damaged. But you can tell it was banging against the top, or actually this is the bottom, right? It was banging up and down on that clearly. Again, looks torn up, but the winch itself doesn't appear so far to be damaged. So, okay, let's pull the rest of it out. All right, so now that we got the packaging out of the way, you get a better view. Doesn't look like anything's really damaged. And we do have a little bit of damage here. Some surface scratching. I don't get my panties too much in a bunch about that. It's gonna get a lot worse. This is probably the best way just to do a review of this new Champion 12,000 pound winch is just to assemble it. So I have the quick hitch, or the hitch mounting plate, which is the design for this, which is the reason I got it. So, it just slides into a regular standard 2-inch hitch, although the one on the Kubota is something's not correct about them. I'm not sure if it's just because it's the RTV or what, but you may remember that I had to put an extension on the back because it was so close to the motor that it banged into the motor before you could hook anything up to it. This one, this hitch, the male end of the hitch is too short for the female end, where they've got the hole drilled to the female end. And I'm not sure, I would think that would be standardized. Apparently it's not, or at least as far as Kubota is concerned, it's not. So first thing we do is we just set the handles. I thought I'd go mid-grade and just set them in the middle as far as the height. I hope that wind isn't too much. It's really windy today. So I've gotten a knuckle buster here just to hold it while I use the impact wrench just to set it. And all we gotta do is just put these 4 in real quick, licking chicken. And this comes with a aluminum house Fairlane. So we'll just throw that on here real quick. Obviously that needs to go through there like that. Now to mount the winch, we have these 4 bolts. I think they're 8s, I think they said they were. And how this works is there's a recess in the legs. There's a recess that sits there, and the bolt just gets inserted into each one, and then when you get underneath, you screw it in from that. So you just have to get it sort of set up like this. This thing's pretty heavy. It's I think they said 105 pounds. I need to maybe do this first, to tell you the truth. I may need to pull that through here first, because if I mount that forward, looks like it's going to be a little bit tight. So I think I'm better off cutting this free and just putting that, just a rubber band on here that's holding it. Okay, so that should come out. Now I can just pull this through here. If I need to release it, I can just lift up on the free spool clutch, let it come out a little bit, lock it back in. That way, you know, we just make sure that we're not going to be fighting with ourselves, right? So this, yeah, looks like it will sit like this. Okay, so part of the reason that I got this was because it sits in this cradle and is hitch mounted, because I never know which piece of equipment I'm going to destroy that day, right? I've crashed the mower, this RTV, the truck, and the tractor. They've all had their time in the woods in being drug out by some other piece of equipment. Just this last week, it was the truck again for the second time. We stuck it in the garden, which was pretty easy, graceful there. This one, not so much. Scratched the truck up pretty good, busted another tail light out of it because as I was trying to get it up the hill, it slid back, even though I had obviously applied the brakes. It slid back in the mud, back into the woods. And when it got into that mess, then I said, you know, I gotta have a winch. This is crazy. I was using the tractor to pull it out, but the tractor again was spinning. And I almost rolled the tractor over, to tell you the truth, because I just did something stupid. And I had it connected to its chain, And I thought, oh, well, if I just move the tractor a little bit over on the hill, I can get a better angle at this. But I didn't want to get out and go down and disconnect the chain, move the tractor, and then hook it back up. So I tried to do it with the vehicle and the tractor both still attached to one another. And so once I started getting over on the side of the hill, the chain got caught on the heavy ag treads of the tire and started rising up around the circumference of the tire. And so, needless to say, that made that, chain obviously very short very quickly. And when it did that, it was at an angle, right? And so it wanted to roll the tractor right over. And so I had to drop the bucket to stop it from rolling over. And then fortunately I was able to move the truck just enough to get it loosened up that I could pull the chain off of it and reset. And I said to myself, okay, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? This was a little under $700, and I probably did that much damage to the truck, just one crash. So this line, things that I look for when I went and obviously looked at reviews, and the first thing I did was I said, okay, the reviews that are out there for 2021 and 2022 from off-road, mud mudder, all these different sorts of things, farming, everything, and I just looked which ones had sort of the consistency brands, not model, brands of the top 5, top 10, something like that. And Champion was on there, probably top 10, not top 5, but Champion was on there. And so it was one of the ones I looked at. Like I said, I love this mounting system for my particular application. That was really nice. 12,000 pounds, that was great because of course the tractor's heavy. And then I was looking for synthetic. So this had the synthetic rope. I obviously wanted a remote, but I didn't care whether the remote was wired or not, because with the synthetic rope, you have less of the whip back threat. You can just throw a t-shirt over it and it'll be fine. Than you would with steel cable. So as a consequence, this had that, so I was comfortable with the remote setup. The line distance was also another thing. There were a couple that had pretty good sized spools on them, or drums, which went like over 100 feet, but for the vast majority they were in the 80s, and this one I believe is 85. So right smack dab where everybody else was. The only comment that was actually negative about this was one of the guys, where they were doing the review, they said if they had this over at an extreme angle and they were pulling like this, they snapped the synthetic rope or cable, and sort of just noted that. That you're not obviously wanting to do that anyway. That was at a maximum weight, and they were obviously trying to abuse it to see if they could get something to go wrong, and it, it did. So that to me was fair enough. I mean, I'll probably do stupid shit like that, frankly, but you're not supposed to, and I'll try not to. I'll try to obviously go 90 degrees from my lift, and for the most part I've been able to do that, or just a little bit off, and even if it just is a little bit off just to get the vehicle straight, then I could pull straight on. So anyway, so it comes obviously with these components. This is a pretty nice setup, I think. The battery connector, then it has a 6-foot, comes with a 6-foot battery connector. I have a marine grade battery that I'll just basically carry with it. It comes with a block, so that's obviously great because now we can half the amount of force or weight by using the mechanical advantage. And it also of course has obviously the pin to go with it, and then it has the remote, as I mentioned, which is wired, and then it came actually with a cover, and I didn't realize it came with a cover. So that's a pretty nice rig. It seems pretty sweet. Oh, obviously it has a clevis pin too. Gotta have a clevis pin, which sort of doesn't do anything, so it obviously comes with that. So we'll go out and give it you know, a run through, but frankly, as you know, just putting it together here goes together pretty easy, huh? And yeah, that's a pretty slick little neoprene cover for the winch. So what we're going to do is, I mean, a little demonstration. The short of it is that I need to pull trees. I'm constantly pulling trees, as anybody else is on their farm. You know, you're cutting them down, you're moving them. So I had a couple trees come down. I'll slide you over here. This is a back gate. You can kind of see it with a post over there to the right. Anyway, a couple trees came down here, so I've cut the logs, and particularly that big one down through here, I need to pull it out away from there. You can see I've already pulled this one here, this one. And now I've still got some branches, but you know, I don't even need the winch for that. But I thought, well, I've got to move that thing anyway, so why not show you guys how the winch works as we do it. I don't think you have a desire to actually see the you know, drum going round and round. We'll be able to hear it, I'm certain. One thing I didn't do that I should do, just as not just a proper demonstration of safety, but actually also smart, is place something over that line, just to stop it right with the cable. You know, there's that whip back or whiplash effect can be deadly. With the synthetic rope, it's not quite so severe, but you still have a lot of tension here. And even though the synthetic rope is going to absorb a lot more of that than the cable would, still, you know, there's a heavy item at the end of that, and it's going to come back some. And so, just to be, as it comes towards us, just to be smart, is to just throw something over that line, which will catch it and dampen its movement. So let me do that real quick. Unfortunately, it's sort of odd, but hey, everyone was everything else. I would have used the cover, but you happen to be sitting on the cover because I thought this would jerk the camera around so much as it winds up that you would get too much vibration. So you're sitting on the cover. But that's some burlap from where I just covered up all the berry bushes that I just put in at the farm. I mean, at the orchard. You know, this is that time of year, right, where it's 70 during the day and then it's 17 at night. So, what I'm trying to do is to, obviously not get in your picture too much, your view, but on the other hand, be able to pull this, you know, cable to help it spool correctly. It seems to be spooling okay, you know, with me pulling on it, but the issue is that the log is, I think you can see, is now going to want to try to roll down the hill. And if it does that, obviously it's going to change the angle here significantly. So that looks like it's going to be a bit of an issue. I may go out of your picture because I'm going to have to get down and sit down to pull this cable. That's what I'm doing. I'm just pulling the cable back so that I can get it to spool all the way to the end and then release it to let it go back down, because it's going to only want to spool toward the left side of the drum. Might as well use this chalk. If I had one of my ratchet straps, I hook it to this tree right here, and I just use the ratchet strap to pull the wire towards me. But I think I can probably, you know, it's got a pretty good hand on it. I think I can probably come out here. Maybe you can get far enough down the hill I don't know how far this cord is. Did they say it was 6 feet or 8 feet or something on the remote? Yeah, it's doing okay, but it's really now, because it has pulled you on the Kubota quite a bit, we're now well off of 45, and it's wanting to spool just on the left-hand side of the drum. Maybe I'll just take you down for a second. Here's the look angle from the tree, the log. You can see the steepness of the hill, both canting off to the left, but also back towards us. You could maybe see that we were getting off the 45. So when you get off the 45, what happens is that as the wire comes up, see how it's way over to the left-hand side of the Haas. Fair lane, and so it's trying to, right now it just wants to spool, you see, only here. It only wants to spool on this side of the drum, and I can't pull it hard enough to get it to move its way back over. So I need to release, back up just a little bit. While I do that is obviously bring that rear end around so that it's again at the 45. Okay, we obviously knew you'd never survive the ride being up on the log, but I thought, if we could get a couple seconds of that shot, it'd be interesting. All right, so you can see we're just about at the sleeve. In fact, that sleeve goes quite a bit up. It's bunched up right now. So that's a pretty good pull. And then what we do is move farther up the hill and then pull again. So anyway, I hope this has been useful as far as a review of just the basic operation. You could also hear, of course, the winch as this, there was a strain on the motor. It sounds pretty good to me. It sounds pretty healthy. So I think in all, we're looking at, the initial start of a pretty good investment. All right, guys, really appreciate it. Thanks. Hopefully this is really helpful. A lot of people are out there purchasing winches all the time. Hopefully this will give you a little bit of idea about the Champion hitch-mounted 12,000-pound winch. All right, guys, back at it. We'll see you soon.